As human beings, and especially women, I mean, we go through different seasons in our lives, and as much as there are those women who have gone through, have become successful in their careers, when they're 40s, 50s, 60s, and then I imagine that this person did not just go from dreaming this and being that. Right? There is a story that went through that process. I went on this quest to just document, create images of these incredible, really successful women, in Nigeria, and also create video documentaries of them, where they really share their story and, share their experiences where they had to dare, to rise. My name is Yagazie. I am a portrait and documentary photographer. Ready? Yeah. What I primarily do is I create images of people, especially women, that amplifies their true essence and empowers and inspires them to be more of who they are. Yeah, that's the very core of what I do. So I just really use photography as a tool to tell the stories of things that matter to me at my core, and that hopefully can impact the lives of other people in the process. So the project is called Sherises project, and I was inspired to do it because of my own story and what I went through at a season in my life where my life was changing radically, and I was going through such a difficult time, having a business, being a mother, being a wife, and just going through life. And it was as though I really hit rock bottom, and I just didn't know how to get up from there. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to move forward. I remember that I'm such an ambitious person. I had always envisioned myself in my 40s, 50s, I'm going to be very successful. I'm going to be, shooting what I love. I'm going to be impacting the lives of people and all of that. But at that time, it was like, that was never going to be possible anymore, because I didn't even see any way that I could get out of that pain and, that depressing period that I was going through. But somehow I found the strength inside of me to say, what, this is still you. Things may not have gone as you expected them to go to, but it's still your responsibility to rise. People may help you, people may encourage you, people may say things to you, but it still depends on you. The day you decide you're going to get up, that's when that's going to happen. I really struggled through that resistance. It was hard. It was so hard. And when I was thinking about the project, it just made me realize that as human beings, and especially women, I mean, we go through different seasons in our lives, and as much as there are those women who have gone through, have become successful in their careers, when they're 40s, 50s, 60s, and then I imagine that this person did not just go from dreaming this and being that. Right? There is a story that went through that process, and I want to know about these stories. I want to be able to connect people in two generations, so that someone, when they're 20s and 30s and they're going through something, they can, see themselves in the lives of someone else who had gone through it, and, and the person became successful. So I went on this quest to just document, create images of these incredible, really successful women, in Nigeria, and also create video documentaries of them, where they really share their story and, share their experiences where they had to dare, to rise, and how the journey has been for them, and, a lot of these life lessons. So it was from my story that, I embarked on the project, and it's just been life changing. It's really been a life changing experience for me. I was just having a conversation with one of the women that we photographed, right? And she just started to express to me how, going through that, that session, having her portraits, how it literally changed her life. And, she mentioned how she was at a point in her life where she did not know who she was, and she did not believe that she had the capacity to do everything that she wanted to do, right? when she saw her images, she started to, she started to cry, because it's like she was confronting the person that she truly is. Like, she was seeing an image of herself that spoke to her about who she is, that reaffirmed her identity, and reaffirmed that, we have everything that it takes to be who she wanted to be. And she mentioned that just that alone was enough to give her the permission and the audacity to chase after her dream. And, from that time up until when she was talking to me, it had been like an almost 360 turnaround in her life and in her career, because she has been exposed to so many opportunities that that they were there before, but she just didn't think that she was going to be able to do it. And she has had those opportunities. She has had so many recognitions from different people, and it's in fact, she was coming for a second one, and that's when we're having this conversation. So it was hard for her to explain, like, how would a portrait, how would a photograph have that level of impact in my life and in the trajectory of my work and career. There's been words that say this is more than, photography. Like, I didn't know how much power, photography had, or an image could hold in the ability to transform a life. When I started photography, and I had a colleague, I just wanted to take more pictures, and I just told her that, I asked her if she could allow me photograph her, and she was like, oh yes. She didn't care about it, because we were just colleagues then. And then I did her makeup, sort of did her hair, and I got her dressed, and took a lot of pictures of her. And of course, I was so excited, because she's one of the women that had been looking at, around me. I was like, oh, she's so beautiful. I would love to photograph her. And when I was done and I sent the pictures to her, she literally started screaming, and she was just, she was screaming and running to me. I was like, oh my God, what is this me? Like, I have never seen myself like this before. And And at the end of that day, she had sent me a message, she said, thank you. I had never thought that I was beautiful. You have made me see myself in the way that I had never seen myself before. And I was truly shocked. I was genuinely shocked, because I thought she was so beautiful. And I was just like, how can you say you didn't know? How can you say you didn't know that you were beautiful? Like, how can you even say that? Like, that's really what I saw. And I was like, oh, I would love to, because generally I don't even believe anybody is not beautiful. But she just kept saying that, and she put the pictures all over. She just, she kept, and that literally changed the way that I saw photography. Even though I was just starting, I was just like, wow. And it made me think, how can someone, live all her life and not see who she is? And then I started to wonder, how many more women out there are in this position who have not been able to embrace the totality of who they are and who they have been created to be, because they have not seen themselves the way that they truly are, and they have not been empowered and, by their own greatness, so to speak. And it was at that point that I became so drawn to portraits. So it was more than just, I wanted to take pictures. It was, for me, I see this as a tool to change the lives of people and impact the life and impact the world, because that one thing can translate to so much in so many ways, right? Just the ability for someone to be empowered and to transform their thinking about themselves has the potential to, change radically the direction and trajectory of their life and everyone connected to them. So that was so powerful. That changed my life, and that changed the way that I saw photography, and how far I was willing to keep going on what I believed in, to prove to a lot more people that, photography is not just pictures, right? This is an incredible gift, to the world. And we must, continuously, do it the best way that we can. I studied to be an optometrist. I loved it, right? I was really good at it, and my parents loved it. I mean, in Nigeria, it's parents, there is this idea, there is this brag rights that you have when you have to say, oh, my daughter is a doctor, lawyer, engineer. So in that era of my parents, those were things that, you know, made them really proud. And, you know, my parents were, you know, proud that, you know, that's what I was studying. And my mom would say, you know, I'm going to be mama doctor. So that means mother of a doctor. So it was a thing of pride. But my last year in school as an optometrist, I kind of foresaw my journey going to change, but I didn't exactly know what it was going to be or how it was going to happen. But even at the time, I had sort of stumbled into photography. I had a point and shoot camera. You know, I was just doing it for the love of it because I really just loved it. And I just loved people. I just loved interacting with people. So, but I did not think that that was what I was going to do, because again, nobody really thinks about being a photographer. Well, at least from where I was coming from. And I didn't really see any photographer that, you know, that really painted the picture of a successful life, which is what I wanted. And so by the time I was leaving school, I was like, oh, you know what, since I really love this thing, you know, I'm just going to start learning about it. You know, I'm going to do studies, I'm going to research, I'm going to learn. I went and did different courses and all of those things. And then, you know, I started taking pictures. But, you know, it was after the incident with the lady that it made me realize that, wait, what? This is more than this. Like, this is just more than a hobby for me. Like, you know, I'm very impact driven. I'm very impact driven in every single thing. So I don't just want to do things because it's nice to do. So for my parents, for my dad, it was a bit hard for him to take, because I mean, he would say, for very good reasons, because obviously every parent wants their children to be successful and, you know, to be, you know, well taken care of. So he would just say, you know, I know that you love this thing, but I think you can do it at weekends while you just get a proper job, so that, you know, you get paid and you just do this thing. This is not something that people do for the rest of their life. Even that statement I found very, you know, disturbing, because, you know, and then I would think, well, I really want to be able to go to the height of my career. And if I'm chasing two different things at the same time, I'm not sure how that is going to be how that is going to work, because I don't just want to be average in two things, right? And, you know, and just keep running around. So by the first and second year while I was working, I mean, I truly enjoyed it, but then again, I was still doing photography on the side, and, you know, that sort of made them happy. But by the time I was done with my second year, I stopped working, and then I went into photography full time. I would tell my dad that, you know what, that I'm still trying to get a job. But I remember the day that I told him, you know what, I told him I wasn't going to get a job anymore, that this is what I wanted to do. And and I know that it was hard. But what I really need was his support, and that I'm going to put my everything into this. And I believe that, you know, I'm going to be able to change the lives of people through it. That I don't really want to be, as much as it's nice to be a doctor, I don't like to be called a doctor. Just the first year I started photography, I said to everybody, I want to be called a photographer. Please call me a photographer. You know, it wasn't a glamorous work in Nigeria. I think it's now that in Nigeria that it's becoming a bit more glam. But then it was not a glamorous work. And, you know, I had people, uncles that would say, oh, you know, you can't be doing this, you know, just do this now. People don't last in this kind of thing. So yeah, so that's how it was, that journey, you know, at that time. But, you know, now it's completely different. I'm happy to say that.